Hello and welcome to Building the Premier Accounting Firm. I'm your host, Roger Knecht, president of Universal Accounting Center, and it's my honor to each and every week bring to the show very insightful and educated guests to actually help us as experts running successful accounting businesses. It's here that we actually learn the insights related to marketing, selling, pricing, tech stacks, training our staff, onboarding our clients, retaining our clients, mental health, and so many other things to build ultimately the premier accounting firm and get you paid what you're worth. It's here on the show that we're going to dive into these things and give you hopefully actionable items that you can take and implement in your business to actually have a successful accounting career. So what I'm happy to do is announce that I have a guest on here that's someone I've known for some time and have been looking forward to speaking with. It's Marie Torossian. And she is the founder and the owner of the Profit Lab and Marie Torossian CPA. She is a 10X certified elite coach, one of 30 globally. She's a speaker and trainer and certified public accountant and chartered global management accountant. She's an auditor and a contributor to the Woodard Report and Think Outside the Box or the Tax Box. She's also a podcast host. Now, Marie, she has actually helped over 100 clients as a financial auditor, controller, chief financial officer, and business coach. She's been nominated for multiple awards, and her firm won the 2022 Best of Small Business Awards, Best Accounting Firm in 2024, and also the Woodard Top 50 Accounting Services Practices Award. She is the creator of the Valuation MT methodology, which injects systems, policies, and procedures, business valuations, and successful growth roadmaps. She helps business owners understand their finances, making informed decisions, and increase their value. As a coach, she helps their clients identify and solve challenges by holding them personally responsible, professionally responsible, and as well financially responsible for their growth. She teaches them to build a solid platform for growth, sustain progress, navigate new opportunities, and hold them accountable for their goals and celebrate their milestones. So Marie, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Roger. So glad to be here.
Yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun. One of the things that I'd like to do is basically get a little bit of a background, because clearly as a CPA, I'm curious how you became interested in becoming an accountant, but also then that of a business coach. So First of all, why accounting?
It's a very long story. I'll keep it short, but I'll take you back with me to when I was 11 or 12. My dad had, opened up a store back in the day, and actually he opened up multiple businesses at some point. And I was working with him all the time. I was doing, unknown accounting that I didn't know I was doing accounting. So it was basically being at the register, looking at inventory, doing all the things that any business would need to do, but not even realizing at that age that there is an actual accounting rules. Fast forward, I was in university there, and I decided to go into accounting because I was like, wow, I didn't know accounting was actually a class. It's a whole set of rules, but here it is. I was doing some stuff on my own, but that got me into realizing like how important it is to have the accounting knowledge, whether for any business that you want to have. So I went into accounting when I was here in Miami. I went to FIU and I got my bachelor's and master's in accounting with the intention, I guess, to have a business at some point. But, just like everybody else, you get, kind of ushered into audit, tax, or forensics. And that's how I started. I started in audit.
Well, the thing that I love about your story there is you have obviously your father to look back to, put you to work, obviously experienced accounting. You found out that it is truly a profession, something that you can study, and you went that route. The thing I'd be curious about is, although your father had that entrepreneurial spirit and drive to go out there and have their business, you mentioned you likewise wanted to start your accounting business. So give me an idea of what ultimately caused you to then start your accounting business.
Yeah, it's a great question. So a little bit more fast forward, I did a few years of audit, and then I went into corporate side. I was at a nonprofit for about 5-6 years. I moved up to CFO at that nonprofit, but then I realized there wasn't anywhere further to go. And I wanted to bring the knowledge to, let's say, a CFO level service to more small business owners. And then here in Miami and overall Florida, it's mostly smaller businesses. It's not massive corporations that much. So those small businesses could need that help. And in tandem with that, my family was growing. I was pregnant with my second child, and I just decided that was a point where, I've been dabbling in it, trying to get out on my own, and then finally committed to it in 2018.
Love
And
it.
said, hey, it's either I'm going to fail miserably and I'll never go back to work, or it's going to keep on going, and we'll see how it goes. So that was a commitment that I did with my husband, where my husband's like, you figure out how you're going to do this. I'll support the basics, and then we'll go from there. And here we are, so many years later. We have that financial freedom, but the time freedom as well, and still be able to do what I want to do.
I love it. One of the things that I really find inspiration from is everyone's stories as to, yes, they have a career in accounting, but why start an accounting business? What takes that entrepreneurial leap and puts it in front of them for them to take? And clearly, you've got that opportunity that you then took, started your business. So I now want to ask, you've got your thriving accounting business, you're offering quality accounting services. What's the difference between it and the Profit Lab?
Yes, of course. So when I started let's say in 2018, I started with some projects here and there. I was just thinking more of a consultant. I'll do some projects. Never really thought of it from a full-on business. And I think many of us bump into that situation where we're kind of self-employed. We're just trying to figure out. So in 2020 is when I decided, okay, I should probably have an accounting firm, and I created that. One of the key things that I noticed between that, end of 2018 is when I started, and then to 2020, is that we are not trained in marketing, and we are not trained in selling and closing any contracts per se. So I could do my budgets. I can look at my own forecast. I can make, I can come up with numbers all day and analyze it all day. But there was that limitation of, yes, I know how to talk to people, but how do I get them to agree? How do I get them to, let's say, close the deal, or whatever service we're going to provide for them? So that brought me to working with different marketing agencies and different trainers that were going to help me. But I realized they didn't even understand what I do. So I'm like, that's not working. So October 2020, I bumped into Grant Cardone's training online. So it was the Wealth Creation Formula. And I had this moment of, I don't know any of this. I don't know any of this. So I started studying with him. I got into his accelerator program, and I studied all of that year, 2021. 2022 is where I wrapped up everything that I had signed up for. And I realized, you know what? Our industry needs all of this information. I want to be a coach, and I want to bring all of the 10X strategies, money mindset, all the marketing, sales, and really help our community of accountants, bookkeepers, and CPAs. And that's how I became a coach.
So I'm curious, though, you could have done this obviously within the accounting firm and offered CFO advisory, business coaching type services as a firm. So how does the Profit Lab afford you new opportunities that weren't existent within the accounting firm?
I guess my thought process there was, I don't want to mix and mingle the two businesses. I see it as kind of separate. And because under the Profit Lab, I can expand and start bringing more coaches and expand beyond. So additionally, I could also do marketing services. So I didn't want to mix up what I thought about coaching and just doing my accounting work.
I like that. I've actually worked with individuals who, like you, have chosen to create a separate company. Sometimes, and I'm thinking of one specifically, they felt that because they were, for their clients, focusing so much on bookkeeping type services, that they didn't see that they had that perception from their clients as having that business coach or advisory type role. And so to complement their bookkeeping business with that service was counterintuitive. So they actually broke away, started another business where they offered the CFO and advisory services, and it allowed them to more confidently go out there and market their services because it wasn't being kind of inhibited by the bookkeeping services that they were trying to market and sell as well. So they intentionally had the same kind of thoughts as you, and
Yes.
created two separate businesses so that there wouldn't be that confusion. So I am interested now in kind of this vocabulary, if you will. So many of us in the accounting profession speak of CFO services. We may use the term advisory services.
Right.
You've said coaching services. How could you actually say this is the distinction or difference between any of those?
Oh, that's a great question. So when we talk about coaching, and it's very different than advisory, because in coaching, we're coaching about skill sets. We're teaching them something they don't know, and they have to go and do. Another thing about coaching is holding them accountable, right? So that's something that, month over month, week over week, we're holding them accountable to the goals that they set. So it's a
Yes.
whole different kind of, work versus when we're advising. And I have to put the different hats as well. So in CFO or advisory, what we're doing is actually walking the client through their actual numbers. We're telling them what is happening in the financials. So it's more of a consulting type work. So it's a little bit different. And then we might give them all the advice, whether they do it or not, it's on them.
Yep. I'm going to actually add to your description there, and I'm going
Thank you.
to perhaps clarify as I see it. And maybe I think we'll come to the meeting of the minds here. One of the things that I think is oftentimes done is they're used synonymously, and these words have distinct meanings, but too often I think we interchange them too much and it becomes confusing. So let me define how I would see this.
Sure.
I'm going to begin with mentoring, because I think mentoring is very plausible. You can actually be part of a mastermind group or a group that you actually associate with, where you get together regularly. Maybe there's a fee to join the group, but there's no compensation to the individuals. They're mentoring you in the sense that through their interactions and the conversations that happen over time, you learn and glean certain insights as to the experiences that they've had. But it's not really an official let's say engagement where you're being paid or paying someone for that. You go from mentoring now up to the next, which you said was consulting. Consulting is a skill set that you're actually now going to go in, do a particular project, take care of a particular task for the client. They're paying you because you have that expertise, and they're expecting you to do the work. Consulting is you're doing the work. Let's go to advisory. Advisory, I'm not doing the work, I'm getting paid, so it's not mentoring. But advisory is different in the sense that it's more instructional, it's teaching. I'm actually going to provide training and insights into various principles and concepts. But whether or not the company or the individual implements them is entirely on them, because there's no accountability, there's no reporting. And so what we're doing is, as advisors, is we're just instructing and educating. But at the end of the day, whether it's in a classroom setting or one-on-one, we've educated, but where they go from there is entirely up to that person. And that's where it goes to coaching, which is why I loved what you said. Coaching brings the accountability. We're going to perhaps advise in the sense that we're going to teach, we're going to educate them on certain things, but we're also going to ask, what are they going to do? What timeline are they going to do it in? We're going to start holding them accountable for those things that they've decided to implement. So we're not doing it, we're not consultants, and we're not advising in the sense that we're just educating and walking away. As business coaches, we're literally going to educate them and hold them accountable, and therefore accelerate their implementation of proven concepts. And that's one of the things that I think is very helpful. So when you're explaining and offering your services, that distinction at that engagement level is very important, because if you're paying me to be your advisor, I'm not going to hold you accountable. I'm not going to worry about due dates. I'm not going to be perhaps that ogre of what's happening. But if you're paying me to be your coach, like I just had literally a coaching session a moment ago, I am going to ask deadlines. I'm going to say, what are you doing? You told me this is important. And I'm going to hold them accountable and be that coach as they would expect. Would you add anything more to what it is I just shared?
No, I love how you said it. And that's something that we, especially with coaching clients, that's something we bring up. And it happens quite a lot where they show up assuming they're getting consulting, or in their mind it's consulting, but it's actually coaching. And we have to clarify that within coaching, we're teaching, we're giving them new skill set. Maybe we train them on something, let's say online, that they get a full training access to that. They have to train, but everything has accountability. It's like, are you doing it? Are you building your discipline? Are you implementing the things that we talked about? Versus advisory, it's like we're giving you advice. We're telling you what it would be a good next step, but that is pretty much it. So I love exactly what you said, and specifically with the way it's paid as well, right? So between mentoring, consulting, advisory, and then coaching.
Yeah, and the reason why I like the consulting differentiation is the fact that I'm not going to be doing the work. You've not paid me to do anything. I'm not doing anything. You're doing it all. And so that consulting thing is really, I think, a clear distinction between I'm either as a coach helping you or consulting doing it. So anyways, that's just something that I think is very important for our listeners to kind of understand. Get your copy of Red to Black. It is the book written for accounting professionals to help businesses turn around and go from being in the red to being in the black. This book is written for consultants, business owners, operators, and managers, no matter what your client's product or service, or irrespective of your talent, skill, or expertise. As an accounting professional, you'll be able to use the principles presented in this book to actually become, for your clients, the profit and growth expert. Every chapter is filled with principles and concepts that you can use immediately with your clients to lead them from being in the red to being more profitable in their business, and see you as, in fact, their guide, their coach, with the expertise and wisdom that you can bring from this book. In the book, you have how-to guide explanations. You have models that you can follow. You're shown how to actually calculate and determine the fees for your services, the actual model that you'll use during the implementation of all this, and most importantly, the end-all results with your clients. Get this book now and see what it is you can do to offer this new revenue-producing service as, in fact, the profit and growth expert. For more information on how you can take advantage of this offer, go to the episode description and there get the information you need to take advantage of this today. So now you've been obviously a coach, a successful coach with Grant Cardone. Mm-hmm. I'm curious, as you work with accounting professionals, what is one of the things that maybe we're not doing with our clients when we're in that CFO advisory role that you've learned is so helpful from the training that you've received?
So I would say in most cases, we're not differentiating what we're delivering.
Okay.
And so that discussion needs to happen right up front when we're still discussing about the types of services. And so, for example, in cases of, let's say, they come to the call and they have all these challenges and problems and they're telling you everything that's wrong. And it's on us to guide them through the process of what we will do. So, for example, it could be like, great, you have, your books are mixed up. Nobody has taken care of it for, 6 months. Great, we can help you with a catch-up bookkeeping that's going to help us do blah, blah, blah. These are the things that we are going to do for you. On top of that, since you told me you want to really kind of understand where you're going, we could actually help you with a little bit more, which would be CFO advisory. We'll put together a forecast for you. And then every week or every month, we'll be getting together. We're going to review all these numbers together. 2 different separate services. If we are not clear up front and they just sign up for randomly, it's going to be hard for them then say, what did I actually pay for? So for me, I think it's been a big shift from when I first started, let's say, trying to onboard clients, and I couldn't even explain what I was doing, to be honest, a lot of times, because they were always assuming they're getting bookkeeping. So my bookkeeping packages actually do have quarterly or monthly meetings, and that was like a built-in advisory, but I wasn't really separating them. I was just like, hey, part of bookkeeping, and they would ask me, why are you so expensive? Well, we're going to have weekly or monthly or quarterly meetings, that way we can discuss these things. So eventually, I think my clients got to understand that that's kind of built in. But now I actually do offer it kind of separated. So I'm like, if you want, advisory, it's a whole different thing. And if you want bookkeeping, it's a whole different thing. So I think it's on us. And one of the things that I learned working with Grant is having our sales process to be so transparent that when they actually sign up, they're not confused as to what they're getting.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things that I'm really wanting to maybe emphasize here is the fact that what you're talking about is setting clear expectations, managing those expectations with the clients, with the engagements that we're actually offering. Absolutely. So as we're explaining our services, I think it's very important to set those expectations at the beginning so that we can wow them as customers later on, but also at the same time, help them realize the value of what it is they're paying for. This is what you're getting. And to maybe illustrate this point, I always speak of there being 3 core services that exist within an accounting business, things that businesses need from the accounting profession: the bookkeeping and accounting,
absolutely,
the tax planning and preparation, and the CFO and advisory services. And when you can bundle your services as to clearly explain what is it you offer and which of those things you can provide, it becomes more obvious what it is they're paying for. Are they paying for bookkeeping? Are they paying for accounting? Are they paying for simply tax preparation or also tax advisory? Are they paying for CFO? Are they paying for advisory type work? All of those things, those 6 things, you can actually bundle them however you choose as a firm. But then as you offer them, they, as the client, can pick which they're willing to pay for and what they're going to expect as they experience your coaching, accounting, and so forth over the coming months. So I am curious, as you go about explaining your services and clearly move into this advisory type space, you're probably working with more high value clients. And I'm wondering, from a marketing point of view, what have you done to actually differentiate yourself so as to attract those clients and get them as clients?
And this has been one of, I think, the most challenging areas of marketing, because depending on where you are at, let's say with social media, there's a different group of people watching what you're posting, what you're promoting. But I would say the best ones that come through are always referrals, right? But you still want to be out there, you still want to be promoting. But what I've tried to do, as what has changed from, let's say, when I first started, posting and trying to promote through social media marketing, is to be very clear on the type of people we want to work with. Like, are you stuck at $1 million, or are you looking to grow to that next level? So when we start talking from that point of view, some people that are not in that growth phase, or for example, we're talking about their mindset. Are you a business owner that is trying to grow their business to the next 10 million? So if they're not in that growth mindset, we're not going to be able to attract the type of, let's say, clients that are in the mindset of growing, because that would be the biggest hardship. It's not about if you're at $500,000 business, $1 million, 10 million. If they're not in the growth mindset, they're already not my client. I wouldn't want to work with them, because I've learned my own mistakes. Obviously, I'm not being arrogant, but it's just because of the mistakes I've made in the past. As I learned through working with different types of clients, a different mindset, after so many years, I've gotten to a point where if it's not a certain type of mindset, I don't want to work with them. And I would say the one of the best clients that I've recently onboarded that are very open to advisory, whether they take it or not, they're open to it. They're mostly from let's say fellow coaches that are referring clients that are needing this service. They need advisory. And that's the best part, the combination of coaches that are very, very much tracking the sales and their financials. They're asking them questions about that. They're going to very quickly realize their accountant is maybe not the right fit. Maybe they need an accountant that can actually do this work for them. And they bring the idea to them saying, I think you need an advisor. I think you need a financial advisor. You need someone that can actually help you through your financials so you understand what's happening. And that's a great entry point. So I would recommend CPAs, accountants, bookkeepers that are working, let's say if they have friends that are coaches in any area, whether it's marketing or anything, those would be great referral sources, great partnerships there.
Yeah, I'm liking the fact that you're speaking of two types of clients. One who does not see the value or appreciate the accounting work that you're doing. The other who's eager to get it so that they can make more informed business decisions, that they can be in that growth mindset as you described. What we want are, at least in my personal opinion, are those clients who are eager for the information. They're expecting and anticipating the financial numbers that we're providing. Why? Because they're using them. It's those clients that see an indifference to the work that we're doing that are perhaps going to be slow to pay us. They're not engaged with us. They're willing to put us off because they don't feel it as it's an integral part of their business. We want those clients who see value in the services that we're providing. They're going to retain us longer. They're going to be engaged with us more. They're going to appreciate the value we're bringing. So I think that's very good as a distinguishing characteristic with those types of clients. And you mentioned something that I want to dive into. You were bringing up KPIs, numbers that they're interested in seeing in order for them to run their businesses. What KPIs do you typically find are valuable that you want to highlight for your clients that you choose to emphasize?
Absolutely. So whenever, for example, if I'm wearing the advisor hat and I'm looking at their sales and revenue, and again, because we don't see the details sometimes of what they're doing, let's say, how many calls did they make? So those are the conversations that I'll help with them. It's like, how many leads are coming through? Are you tracking those leads? How many calls did you make? So I bring a little bit of that coach. I'm not telling them everything. I'm telling them what they need to be tracking still. So how does that build into the revenue? So it's not just financial KPIs. Those are important. But then what are the maybe not directly financial KPIs that they should be still tracking, which will result in revenue? It's still going to result in income. So those are where a little bit of, I think, my coaching side of things can kind of blend in, because I understand what sales is, which I didn't before. It was more like just the revenue number. But now it's more like going into details of like, how many leads are coming through, which channels are working for you? For example, is it the ads? Is it the social media? Is it the referrals? Obviously, referrals are going to be the best quality of leads, but still, all the other leads that are coming through, what are the best ones? So then you can refocus your marketing dollars on the areas that are actually getting you more leads, because then those leads are going to convert to money.
I love the fact that you've stepped outside with those KPIs of the accounting financial numbers. The fact that you're getting into leading indicators, other numbers that are metrics that can be tracked and followed that will actually have a direct impact on the success of the company, the financial well-being of the business. So you're getting outside of the accounting numbers into the leads and the marketing and the sales, the calls, all those things are things that can and should be tracked. And honestly, even though they're not accounting numbers, oftentimes business owners, either if they don't expect it, they appreciate the accountant asking about and tracking those numbers because they want to see the correlation between those efforts and the financial results that they're seeing. So I love that you brought that in. So the next question I want to ask is regarding your ability to help your clients see your expertise, gaining credibility and the trust of your clients. What are some of those things that you've actually done that are practical that demonstrate your expertise to help attract clients and find those clients that you're hoping to actually work with on a long-term basis?
Wow, that was a long question, but I'll try to answer it.
Well, it's just that I know that a lot of us work to build this credibility. You know, you've got your credentials, you're a CPA, now you're a certified business coach. But as you're working in your marketing to build that credibility and trust, one of the things that you're doing to establish yourself as a professional in, you know, a practical way is you have to demonstrate that expertise in some way so that not only can you attract clients, but you retain them. So I was just curious if there's something that you're intentionally doing to demonstrate that for your potential clients to see and your current clients to receive from you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for clarifying it a little bit more. So
Yeah.
I think it goes in different ways. So the fact that you show up every time someone is on their social, for example, let's take social just for now. For social, for the last, let's say, 6, 7 years, 8 years, I've been consistently on social. So when people jump in and look me up, it's not that I'm the perfect person, but I'm trying to be the most well-known. So that's very important to build part of that credibility. When everything that I do, I promote, and that's totally what Grant talks about, be omnipresent. So promote. So promote wins, right? I promote all the different testimonials that whether my coaching clients or my accounting clients give me. I promote the let's say certain accomplishments, right? I promote the fact that I'm doing some training here or there. What are people saying? What is the audience saying about my training? I think all of it together, when you're promoting yourself in the right context, it's going to start attracting the right people. It's going to build trust. It's going to build likability. And when they look at things that you are doing and they see like this person hasn't disappeared yet, she's still here, that's going to build credibility as well. That's the way I see it. What about you?
Well, I like the omnipresence. I think one of the things that you need to do is show that you're the expert. There's two things that I have found, and it's perhaps more at the marketing end of things, is I choose to actually educate my potential customers. I want them to see that I am in fact the expert. I have information that's valuable to them.
Right.
And so if I can position myself as the expert by providing the whats and the whys, they start to be educated as to what it is I do, and they become educated as to what it is they need. So I think that's very important. The thing you hold back on is the how. The how is what they're going to pay me for. That's where I'm going to deliver on what it is that we've talked about. But anything I can do to be omnipresent, as you were indicating, where I'm sharing that and being that person that's always available with information, whether it's a newsletter or the socials that you're providing or mentioning, those things enable that potential client and that customer to actually realize I am working with the right person. They know who they are. They've got that air of confidence about them. And that's what I'm hoping to deliver on. Learn the turnkey process for starting and building a successful accounting business. It's in this course so you'll actually experience 4 specific trainings. Part 1, your business plan, everything you need to know to get started. Part 2, how to price your services, the pros and cons of different methods and the best way to price your services that are both profitable and professional. Marketing and selling your services so that you can actually be top of mind, but more importantly, how to actually be seen as a trusted strategic advisor. And last of all, mapping it all out. 5 principles in running a profitable business so that you can be both competent and confident in the services you're providing. Learn now what it is you can be doing to start and build your own successful accounting, bookkeeping, or tax business. Go to the episode description and there get the information you need to take advantage of this today. So the next thing I wanted to bring up is we've already had this conversation now about CFO and advisory
Mhm.
services and clearly how it complements the traditional accounting that you're doing. But what I want to ask is how do you bring that value add or explain that value add to a potential bookkeeping client where they're just coming in and expecting that you do the books? I just want my books done. How do you explain or articulate what it is that comes with the CFO advisory services to where they're willing to entertain? I also need that.
Right. So what I usually tap into, and I don't try to make it like a whole, let's say, line by line presentation. What I listen in and very tune into the problems that they're saying that they have, right? So it's not, for example, if they're saying, I want to know how much to pay. Let's say they might ask, like, I want to pay less taxes. Okay, great. So we can actually provide you tax advisory services and on top of your tax preparation, clearly defining that they're two different services. So when I provide the pricing, they're not going to be like, whoa, what is this? A lot of times, let's say combining things might appear like, oh, I'll just plug it in. I like to be very clear and transparent because that educational piece is going to play in. So maybe they didn't realize, and most people would tell me, oh, I didn't know they were different. I'm like, actually, they are. They are very different things. One is going to get into research, details, looking at your goals, where you want to go, what's your next year's revenue expectation. So how can we build that into, tax savings? On the other side, as a CFO advisory, similarly, I'm paying attention to, and I asked sometimes. Recently, one of my newer clients, when he was recommended to me, and he had an accountant. They were doing the bookkeeping and stuff, and I asked him. I said, okay, so these people are doing a great job. They have your books in order. I see everything in here. Everything's good. But what is the problem? And he's like, well, I don't know where I'm going. I have my coach. My coach wants me to, is helping me with the sales. I'm going to get to this point. I just don't know how to get there. And I don't know if I can afford people. I can afford this. So when they say these things, I'm like, oh, I understand. So what you're looking for is more of a CFO advisory services, which is what we provide as well, in addition to bookkeeping. Again, clarifying that there are two different services. So then when we provide the different, let's say, quotes, they can clearly decide, okay, maybe they don't have the budget today for that service, but they already know in their mind, oh, she does this. They do this work. So it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, and I like the education component that you
Yes,
shared at the beginning of that, because there is a huge distinction between tax preparation and tax
right.
planning, tax advisory work. And if the client is just simply asking you to file their return to prepare it and
That's what we're
actually
doing.
file it, then that's what you're going to pay for. But to educate them to say, well, I'm actually able to offer advisory services where we can take and compare your previous tax filing and see if there are any missed opportunities to make sure we don't overlook those this next year, or maybe even do an amendment for the previous years.
Right.
But more importantly, we could give you advice on if you're going to buy another car, should you buy an electronic vehicle, an EV car, and get the tax credits with that? Maybe you're going to put solar on your home. Perhaps you're going to fully fund your 401k. There's just a variety of strategies that you can bring to the table, helping them realize the benefits of becoming an S Corp if they're perhaps a business owner. All of these things are strategies that, if done, they can benefit from. But I'm not going to advise them on that if they're not paying for advisory services. I'm just going to prepare their tax return if I'm doing tax preparation services. So there is a distinction. And if you can communicate that well, they'll see value in, you know what, why don't we have you do a 3-year review of my previous tax
Yes.
returns? Let's talk about what it is that I might have missed out on that the last tax year that this year I can implement and benefit from before the next tax filing. There's just so many things that they can just be educated as to the value. And if you can clearly show that you're going to save them thousands of dollars, the expense for your fee becomes minimal because of the corresponding benefit of what you're offering them. So yeah, excellent explanation there. All right. So the next question I want to ask is, when you're actually working with business clients, are there any blind spots that you have found that are obvious ones that have really allowed you to shine as being that competent person helping them with their accounting, especially using the Profit Labs methodologies, for example?
Um, so it's especially coaching clients and depending on where they're at, what I've noticed is most business owners and most people would underestimate the amount of action they have to take. And this
Okay.
is a little bit more like not necessarily from accounting or whatever, but it's just generally taking action. That's the first thing. The other one is their time control. When they show up and they tell me I didn't have time, I'm like, okay, let me look at your calendar. And if I see a whole bunch of white stuff, what did you do there? so, so it's really important. And then the other thing is, let's say we would set up a homework, and they have certain things they want to implement, and they come back the following week, and they have done only a quarter of it. And again, always the thing is, I didn't have time, but really it wasn't the time, it was something else that was holding them back. So then it's, as a coach, and again, this a lot of things that I've learned from Grant, and I implement, is then digging it down. Okay, why do you say that? So let's look at the time. Okay, so it looks like you had time. So why do you feel like you couldn't implement the other things? What held you up? So it becomes more of an open conversation where the person, you're now building a different level of trust that they have to completely open their heart to you. Recently, one of my coaching clients, she, told me something that was very, concerning for me. And I said, well, and I don't want to bring it up, but it was very personal, right? And it's something that they tell you in a coaching situation where they're not going to tell you unless you've built that trust with them. So, and it has maybe nothing to do with the business directly, but it kind of does, because if they're not feeling well, if they're not comfortable with what they need to do, they're not going to take massive action, and that's not going to result in business growing. So I think that's where I feel that I really fit in, and I have that. I would say I have a pretty good emotional intelligence. So I build that trust quickly, and they're able to open up to me.
I appreciate you bringing that up, because like you, I've had so many conversations with my clients where, because of the rapport that I have, because of the safe environment that I've created, as we get into business type principles, there are reasons that they're not able to implement things because of the distractions they have in their life. So something's going on at home, something's going on with their health, with their relationships. And all of a sudden what happens is the conversation turns, because of the comfort that they have, this safe environment that they're now in, that they're able to share with me in confidence things that they're experiencing on a personal level that's impacting their ability to work in their business. And I think that's really valuable to understand, that as we move into the CFO advisory space, it's not uncommon as a business coach to find that some of the things that we start working on are in fact personal. They are things that are actually distracting them from their ability to work on the business. And so all of a sudden, you're actually dealing with things that are very important, but let's say, interestingly enough, not business related, but indirectly they are. So I think one of the things that we have to realize is, although we may not be professional psychiatrists or family therapists and so forth, there are still things that we can do just listening, just helping them feel as if they can speak up and actually comfortably talk and not be judged. And all of a sudden what happens is, just in that release, they oftentimes find their own answers. I think I just need to do this. And it's oftentimes through the questions that we ask that they're able to find their own solutions. So I really appreciate you bringing that up, because I've experienced it so many times. And then you get back to the business stuff.
Right. And it does help, because maybe they needed that moment of clarity and getting those thoughts out of their mind, because it was causing the problem. So it's a great way for them to move forward. And then and they don't feel like you are blaming them that they didn't do the work. It's more like you're understanding why they couldn't do the work, but then redirecting them to, like, okay, now we can refocus on this. And then let's take new steps, new guidelines, new timelines to just keep you going. Yeah.
Good. So another question I wanted to ask regarding your services.
Yes.
When working with your clients and they're taking this financial information that you're providing them, how do you actually help them see how it's applicable in the day-to-day operations of their business?
From an operational standpoint, even though I don't get into too much details on that, what I would try to bring up, saying, so what are some of the things that it's a question more of, how are you doing? What does your daily look like? What are certain actions that you're doing? Let's say I have a client that they're husband and wife, so they both work in the business, and they do most of the day-to-day, and we just do some of the advisory and the accounting. And so we know, based on our conversations, what does the wife work on, what are the details, and then what does he work on, which is more like the sales, the calling people, closing deals. So I think it's important to have those discussions, because then I can ask certain questions specifically to him versus her. Or let's say if it's operational in details and operations, like we're talking with the wife, we're trying to get okay, how about we do it this way? How about we do it that way? So it's more operationally feasible for you. We get the information timely. So there's this continuous conversation of how it improves their operations, but it also helps us from a financial standpoint getting things done. And with him, it's more of a conversation of, for example, the other day he said, costs have gone up a lot. And I just recently looked at their numbers. I'm like, it's not just the costs have gone up, but suddenly the labor has gone up, but the revenues are the same. I'm like, something is off there. So, so that's something we're going to bring up and we're going to talk about. So those are things that I will focus on with him because he's the one selling. So he needs to know what's not working in that, the pricing that he's charging them. Maybe it's not enough. If costs are going up, something else has to be changed. And I might have to direct him, hey, how can you change the way you are describing the work with the costs going up so you can still increase your prices and be able to cover your costs at least?
Yeah. Well, one of the things I would add to what you just shared is oftentimes the client struggles to see the application of the financial reports that we're providing in their day-to-day operations. And one of the things I'd go back to are the KPIs that we were speaking of earlier, particularly the leading indicators. It's what are those things going on in the business on a day-to-day basis that we can focus on today that as leading indicators, if we can just do the right dials and calls and so forth, those we know will result in the sales and so forth. Equally, what I do is I try to point out the relationships that we have with the vendors and such. There might be net terms that are 30-day that we can switch to 45 days. There are net 10s that we can switch to 30, and that'll help with cash flow. And so as we have problems in the business that we're trying to address, they can be taken care of at a day-to-day level, at an operational level. So I think those are some of the things to be aware of. Marie, one of the things I was excited to ask you, and I think this is just because of the energy that you always bring, is when you are looking at your business, you're a successful entrepreneur, you've got your own accounting business, you've got the Profit Lab. I'm curious, what has entrepreneurship afforded you? What things have blessed your life because you are, in fact, a successful business owner?
I think that the biggest impact has been not only having freedom of time to really be present for my kids, let's say if they have something going on at school, and just that being able to have that time freedom to be able to flexibly go do things that are important to us for our family, having a business has been very helpful to me that way. And when I sometimes think back, I've had hard times, and I think every entrepreneur goes through that. Hard times where, let's say maybe clients are not paying or something's not working, and this is, early on. I would always go back to like, do I want to be in corporate? Like, no. So what do I need to do to continue on, to be able to do the next thing? Now, how much more action do I have to take? So all of that has helped me get to the point where I have a team that's doing a lot of the accounting and bookkeeping, so it takes time away from like all doing by myself. So having a team is super important. It's been really helpful, which then gives me that time freedom. So I can, let's say, in the afternoon, go pick up my kids. We can go do our martial arts. And, it just gives me the ability to really take care of myself as well as a human being, which sometimes I think as entrepreneurs, we lose that. Part of the 10X super life, we call it, is that we want to be able to be great in all areas of our life. So there's our business, which is our income earned, passive income, our spiritual wellness, our physical wellness, our recreational time. You want to have the fun times, and you want to have that family time as well. So how can you do all of that? Is to be able to focus on your business, yes, but also be able to plan it to grow and have more team members and delegate more so that you can have that time freedom to achieve that. So for me, it's fulfilling.
I like that. That's very good. One of the things that I'd also like to ask is, what are you grateful for?
Grateful for my faith, because I think it has pulled me through a lot of difficult days. So I'm always grateful for that. Grateful to God.
That is awesome. Wonderful. Marie, this has been a wonderful conversation. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try and wrap some things up here, and I'm going to come back to you for a closing thought. As I wrap this up, one of the things that I want to point out is Marie's been very kind to offer something to all of our listeners that I'd love to have you take advantage of. She actually has here a complete assessment. It's an assessment that you can actually do that assesses your money mindset, your marketing and sales skill set. And in addition to the assessment, she's offering a 30-minute review with you. This is something that I would encourage you to take advantage of. The information to do this is in the episode description. There you'll actually go and find what is available at her Profit Lab company. And with this assessment, basically find out where is your mind as it relates to money, marketing, and sales. So take advantage of this opportunity and go there and get that. In addition to that, I want to suggest a book called Your Strategic Accountant. This is actually a book written to address those three core services that I spoke of earlier. It's what it is that the business expects from the accounting profession, those skills, those services that we can be offering, that we can service our clients with, get paid for, and most importantly, help them as they're running their businesses. In addition, I want to invite you to actually take advantage of the the Accountrepreneurs Challenge. The Accountrepreneurs Challenge is actually for you as you run your business to actually work on some things here in the next 90 days that are both personal and professional to help you, in fact, ensure that this is the best year providing accounting services. It's where we're going to talk about things related to money and time management. We're going to be talking about servicing your clients effectively. We're going to be discussing principles that you can implement in your business to actually help that you're profitable. These are things that I would encourage you to take advantage of. It's the Accountrepreneurs Challenge. Go to the episode description and get the information there as to what it is you can do to begin this challenge yourself today. Now, as a kind of recap of the conversation, I love the fact that we started this discussing the fact that she was exposed to accounting by her father, an entrepreneur that actually had her own interests at heart, there being a young teenager, putting her to work, having her do some of those exercises, and then the surprise to go to a college and actually find that there's a profession here built around that. I thought that was quite interesting. She clearly had a successful path in accounting as a CPA, and then chose to ultimately go out in 2018 and start her own accounting business. And it's through that business launch that she had the support of her husband. I thought that was wonderful to be pointed out, because I believe that behind so many of us as successful people, we have that support network that we're all needing. And then from starting her business, not only did she have the success that you would expect only because of the accolades that she clearly received, but she saw that there was also something more that she could do. And she went and got certified as a business coach. Through that business coach certification, she was able to actually then take her business to a new level. Why? Because she started a whole new business, actually complementing those business interactions that she was having so that she could work as a CFO and an advisor and a business coach, really kind of going into the deeper side of the business, helping the business owners with what they're needing to do to work on their businesses. In all that experience, we talked about things that you can be doing to actually increase your credibility. In that, we spoke of having that omnipresence, really going out there, focusing on things such as what it is your clients should know and understand, educating them as to what it is that you can do, and then ultimately servicing them. She spoke of bundling her packages so that she can more clearly set the expectations, managing the client's expectations as it related to what services they were paying for and what they could expect to get from her. Thought that was very helpful, especially also in distinguishing how to go about getting higher end clients. I enjoyed the conversation where we were talking about the distinction as well as between what's an advisor versus an accountant versus a consultant. Those things I think are very important for us to at least communicate effectively with our clients. So wonderful things there. Obviously, I appreciated her sharing why she's or how she's benefited as an entrepreneur, the fact that she's got time to do the things that matter, especially on a personal level with her family, and then with her faith, that being something that she's grateful for as it sustained her in those hard times. So lots of great little nuggets that we took from the conversation today. Marie, what would you like to leave as a closing thought?
As a closing thought, I would say take action. And that's something that has been a big change, life changer for me, is to really focus on how much action are you taking. So I definitely want to leave that with your audience.
I love that. Well, thank you. And everyone, yes, take action. The first action I'm going to ask you to do is, if you haven't already, subscribe to the podcast. Definitely subscribe. We're going to notify you each and every week when we release a new episode. It's sure that you're going to get the information that you're needing so that you can weekly work on your business. In addition to subscribing to the podcast, I want to invite you to go to universalaccounting.com. At Universal Accounting, in the navigation in the podcast section, you're going to find that we've compiled highlights. These are basically playlists that we've put together of the various podcasts that we've had in the past, over 300 episodes, where you can go binge listen to specific things that are particular to your current situation today. These are things that you're needing to focus on, such as marketing or pricing, tech stacks, just questions that you may be having about your business as to what you can be doing next. There you'll find the playlist of the experts sharing their insights and perspectives that I'm sure you'll appreciate diving into. The other thing that I want to point out is you can go to Universal Accounting School, and there at that website, find out about the Profit and Growth Expert Program. Becoming a Profit and Growth Expert is essentially taking and providing these services that we've discussed today as a business coach. It's literally working with your clients in that CFO and advisory capacity with confidence, offering a clear engagement that you're able to monthly meet with your clients on specific things that they need to be implementing in their business to clearly work on their companies. And that's one of the things that I think is hugely important. So become a profit and growth expert. Go to universalaccountingschool.com and find out there more about what it is you can be doing to offer these CFO and advisory services with confidence. Next, what I'd like to do is also invite you to GrowCon. GrowCon is an annual conference where we get together as owners of bookkeeping, accounting, and tax businesses to hear from the experts. It's sure that you get to hear timely information that you can implement in your business. You can also meet with your peers, other people that you can collaborate with as you're offering these services, and get inspired by other individuals like you who are going out there and successfully operating bookkeeping, accounting, and tax businesses. In fact, becoming the premier accounting firms in their areas. In addition to all of this, what I want to do is encourage you to check out Universal Accounting School, where we have a variety of trainings and programs for you and your staff to help you, in fact, offer these types of services with the proper skills needed. All that being said, have a wonderful day. If you need to, give us a phone call. You can reach us at 801-265-3777. And always remember this, accounting success is universal. Take care and be safe out there.